Imagine telling a football fan in the 1970s that France would one day become this absolute terrifying titan of world football. Like, imagine telling them, hey, France is going to win multiple World Cups, churn out endless generations of superstars, and just completely dominate the biggest tournaments on Earth. Honestly, they probably would have laughed right in your face. There's no way they'd believe you. Because back in the 70s, France was, well, they were definitely not a football powerhouse. They were literally struggling to even qualify for major tournaments. Sure, they had these isolated, unbelievable talents in the past, guys like Raymond Kopa and Just Fontaine, but those were just flashes in the pan. They had raw talent for sure, but they completely lacked a unified system.
So, the big question we're answering in today's explainer is, how exactly did France engineer this global football dominance? How does a country that used to rely purely on random, isolated generations of talent transform into this unstoppable World Cup winning machine? Well, the answer isn't luck. And it's not just about having good genetics in the population. It's about a highly meticulous, almost secretive, and perfectly executed master plan. We're going to see how a deliberately designed system directly created undeniable, world-changing success.
Section 1. Before the glory.
To really get the solution, we first have to understand just how broken this system was. The biggest issue in the 70s? A total lack of structure. I mean, every single club was developing young players in their own completely separate way. Every region had different methods. There was practically zero collaboration between local clubs and the French Football Federation. France was finding talent, yeah, but they weren't actually developing it. Now, compare that to their big European rivals at the time, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands. They had these highly advanced, well-oiled youth development machines. They were seeing consistent tournament success because they had a clear methodology. The French Football Federation quickly realized they couldn't just sit around crossing their fingers, hoping a golden generation would magically be born. Something radical had to change.
Section 2. The Clairefontaine Vision.
This is where two massive visionaries step into our story. The president of the French Football Federation, Fernand Sastre, and technical director Georges Boulogne had a pretty radical idea. They didn't just want to create better individual players, they wanted to build an entire football culture. They realized France needed better coaches, better scouting, and a centralized hub where the absolute best young players could develop under one exact footballing philosophy. So, born out of those systemic struggles of the 70s, they pinpointed a location about 30 miles southwest of Paris, in Clairefontaine. By the 1980s, construction was in full swing. In 1988, INF Clairefontaine officially opened its doors. And check this out, exactly 10 years later, in 1998, France won their very first World Cup. This timeline literally proves our point. Deliberate design creates undeniable success.
And here's the crucial insight, the big aha moment. When you think of a youth academy, you usually think of a specific club, right? But Clairefontaine wasn't built for one club. It was built for the entire country. It's a national academy run by the French Football Federation. It's a national asset designed to raise the baseline level of the entire nation, not just some private franchise trying to win a local league.
Section 3. Forging elite talent. Let's take a look at what actually goes on inside the walls of this legendary facility to build the ultimate intelligent football player. The selection process is notoriously strict. Every year, scouts are looking at hundreds of young players in the Paris region, which, by the way, is famous for producing top-tier talent. But out of those hundreds, only about 20 to 30 kids are actually selected for Clairefontaine. And look at the evaluation criteria here. Notice what's missing? It doesn't just say who runs the fastest or who scores the most goals at age 12. They are evaluating mental traits. Does the player learn quickly? Can they handle pressure? Do they actually listen to the coaches? Are they disciplined? Do they understand the game? They're looking for the player with the absolute highest long-term potential to go pro, not just the kid who had an early physical growth spurt.
Once they're selected, they enter this incredibly demanding daily structure. Step 1 is morning education. The Federation firmly believes that to build a great footballer, you have to build the person first. They need discipline and responsibility off the pitch. Step 2 is afternoon training. And what makes this unique is that training here isn't about endless running or physical conditioning. Almost everything is done with the ball. They relentlessly drill technique, first touch, passing, dribbling, ball control, movement, until it literally becomes second nature. And step 3, video analysis. Players watch their own performances, not to get punished for making mistakes, but to actively analyze their decisions and understand the sport on a much deeper tactical level.
Because according to the French philosophy, football isn't just about having the ball. It's about knowing exactly what to do with it. As a young recruit, you are constantly being asked, when should you pass?
The pressure is relentless. You've got the ball at your feet, the defender is closing in fast.
When should you dribble? When do you slow the game down?
When should you attack space? This intense mental pressure is simulated every single day through small-sided games. We're talking 3v3, 4v4, 5v5. By shrinking the pitch, players get way more touches on the ball and are forced to think at lightning speed. They have to answer these questions every single second. The ultimate goal is to forge a truly intelligent footballer, not just a technically gifted one.
Section 4. The national difference.
So how does this intense, localized methodology actually integrate into the wider footballing world? This comparison is amazing because it really highlights the genius of the French model. Other countries and clubs saw France's success, and, they have their own fantastic academies. Barcelona has La Masia, Ajax has De Toekunst, Benfica, Sporting CP, Man City, they all have world-class facilities. But the fundamental goal is completely different. Club academies exist to develop players to make one team stronger. They want to produce a player for the Barcelona first team or the Ajax first team. Clairefontaine, being a national academy, has a totally different mandate. Its single goal is to make the entire country stronger.
And the brilliant logistical solution to pull that off without cutting players off from real competition. Elite training during the week, grassroots reality on the weekends. See, the players don't play official leagues under the name Clairefontaine. They stay registered with their own local clubs. So Monday through Friday, they live, study, and train in this elite, heavily funded national bubble. But on the weekend, they go right back to their local amateur clubs to play real, raw, competitive matches. It creates this amazing bridge between elite development and grassroots football.
Section 5. The ultimate football system.
So what happens when you scale this philosophy across an entire nation? Well, you get this absolutely staggering list of alumni. Thierry Henry, Nicolas Anelka, William Gallas, Blaise Matuidi, Kylian Mbappe. These aren't just good players, these are generational talents who literally defined modern football, and they were all forged in this exact system. But Clairefontaine's impact goes way beyond just this one facility. It became the blueprint. Regional training centers were created all over France using these exact same principles, meaning a kid in Marseille or Lille is learning the exact same football identity as a kid in Paris.
And the results? They speak for themselves. Just look at this trophy cabinet. In 1998, barely a decade after Clairefontaine opened, France are world champions. In 2000, they're European champions. In 2018, world champions again. They went from struggling to qualify in the 70s to being the most feared, most consistent team in global football. Countries like Belgium, Japan, and the US have all tried to study and copy this model, but no one has completely replicated the magic of the French system.
Ultimately, the story of Clairefontaine proves that sustained success isn't just about luck, it's about a highly structured vision. France always had talented players, but they only started dominating when they built a system that allowed those talents to grow together. I want to leave you with this thought. One superstar can change a team, but a great development system can change an entire country. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. If you found this deep dive into the French football machine as fascinating as I did, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Catch you next time!